quarterback manner about quarterbacks. Right? Really wanted to speak on this because this is something that I'm looking at and I'm really thinking to myself, like, how did we get to this point? Like, seriously, how did we get to a point where a guy that had multiple Super Bowls, I'm talking about multiple Super Bowl wins, and this guy has had multiple, seasons where he's been selected and regarded as the best. I don't think it's even close when you just look at one particular guy. For what's going on. It's crazy. It's pure stupidity on my end because there's really nothing to back these claims. These claims that this guy's the best quarterback is based on what? Okay? It's based on what? So we're going to look at two guys today, and you guys see it on. If you guys see it right now, this video is about Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, and I thought I thought it was freaking hilarious, and I think it is hilarious. And the crazy part about this, we see people that I expect, like I respect as authority figures in the game, and I'm looking at, I'm like, okay, so why is this guy regarded as the best quarterback in the NFL? Like, what makes this guy the best quarterback in the NFL? Everybody want to take a guess on who that guy is? Yeah. So, I want to give you guys a number. Okay, so we're gonna go down the list, and we're gonna tell you guys about said quarterbacks, and we're gonna talk about, it's your boy Mace. What's going on? How you doing? Well, we're going to talk about Patrick Mahomes. We're going to talk about Lamar Jackson. And we're going to talk about these guys. We're going to talk about these guys' numbers in its entirety, because I think it's a farce. And I'm looking for one more thing. So y'all just be patient for me. I'm looking for one more thing right now, because I want to get these numbers correctly. But this is why I think this is hilarious. Passing attempts. This is why I think this is so hilarious. I really think this is hilarious per game. All right. Okay, this is why this is very disrespectful for two reasons why. Like, it's the media and the fans. And I'm just going to be honest. Like, some of you fans are just hilarious when it comes down to this. Because on one hand, you say that you respect the game and you respect players and you know the game, and then we say stuff like Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the NFL. You say that you respect the game and you know the game, and then you say that Josh Allen doesn't deserve the MVP. Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills. Okay? The Buffalo Bills and James Cook. Okay, we're gonna look at James Cook's numbers, stats last year. We're gonna look at James Cook's number last year. Just take a look at these. Just hear me out. Like I said, I'm about to break it all down, and this is why I think this is one of this right here. This is why the NFL can't be trusted. This is why analysts can't be trusted. This is why guys like what's his name, Ryan Clark. This is why these guys can't be trusted to tell the truth, because the numbers are right here in your face. These are the numbers that are right in your face. So, on one hand, you have Lamar Jackson. Okay? Lamar Jackson, as a quarterback, pass attempts. All right, so we're going to look at Lamar numbers for his career. This is why the NFL can't be trusted. This is why a lot of these fans are being brainwashed, because this is exactly what's happening. You're being brainwashed, you're being hoodwinked, and you're being bamboozled. Because you have, on one hand, Lamar Jackson going all the way to 2018, 1,200 yards passing, 31. You have 2,700 yards, 2,800, 2,200 yards passing, 3,600 passing, and he have 41. Okay? No, this is not a farce. This is not me making up stuff. This is literally what this guy has in his career as a quarterback. Okay, let me say this again. Let me go these numbers again for you guys. Lamar Jackson has 1,200 his first year, 3,100, 2,700 yards passing, 2,800 yards passing, 2,200 yards passing, 3,600 yards passing, and then 41. This guy had 1 year where he had more than, had 1 year where he had more than 4,000 yards. This is 1 year. Furthermore, when you look at this, you look at his pass attempts per game. Throughout his career, 25 pass attempts every game. Okay? 25 per game, excuse me. This is why this is why Lamar Jackson is the biggest fraud in the history of the NFL. He's the biggest fraud. So not only this guy has 1 year, 2 years where he threw the ball for 3,000. 2 years in his career where he threw the ball for 3,000 yards. And I want to pull up the NFL passing attempts per game, the NFL average. So this is why this is funny. So we like to go to the facts, the stats, and the truth. Well, this is the facts, the stats, and the absolute truth. Okay? This is why Lamar Jackson is the biggest fraud in NFL history. Y'all heard what I said about his yards. Okay? His yards, 4,000, 4,100, 3,600, 2,200, 2,800, 2,700, 3,100, 1,200. He got 1 year where he threw the ball for 4,000. He got 2 years where he threw for 3,000 yards or more. 2. In his 8-year career, this dude has only threw the ball for over 3,000 yards 3 times. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He only did it 3 times. The NFL average in passing attempts is 33 attempts. Okay? The NFL average is 33 attempts per game. Anybody want to take a wild guess as what Lamar's is? His attempts, passing attempts per game is? Yeah. This dude's average, okay? His average is 25 passing attempts per game. 25. This is why I have lose so much respect for guys that claim to be football experts. This guy doesn't pass enough to even be considered a quarterback. This is the first time that he has thrown the ball for 4,000. 2 years in his career, he's thrown the ball for over 3,000 yards. In 7 years. Okay? Let me tell you, let me go to the next guy. The next guy, Patrick Mahomes. His rookie year, first year as a starter, I mean, not first year as a starter, but first year in the NFL, obviously 200. First game he didn't play, but he threw the ball for 284 yards. His rookie year. Second year following that, he threw the ball for 5,000, 4,000, 4,700, 4,800, 5,200, 4,100, and then 39, what was last year. Patrick Mahomes' attempts in his career is 37 pass attempts per game throughout his career. This is why Lamar Jackson can't be trusted. This is why you can't trust anybody that says that Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the NFL. He doesn't even throw the ball enough to be considered a quarterback. He's below the league average in passing attempts. So how can anybody respect anybody that chooses Lamar Jackson when we're talking about him being a quarterback? How can anybody respect anyone that even mentions Lamar Jackson in the same category as a Patrick Mahomes, as a Josh Allen? How can you respect that? How can you respect that anybody says anything about Jalen Hurts being a quarterback? Well, and again, the NFL average, now it does shift, but for the most part, you know. All right, so these are some number attempts to kind of give you guys an idea of how bad Lamar is. Okay, this is how bad Lamar is, and it's funny. I'm looking at this, but in 1970, we're gonna go back to 1970. I'm gonna give you guys a little football quarterback history. 1970, the pass attempts per games for the quarterback is exactly what Lamar Jackson is doing. 25 passing attempts per game. Yeah, it's not a joke. The passing attempts for the quarterback position in 1970. So this is over 35 plus years ago. They were passing the ball. Some teams were passing the ball. Almost the exact same attempts that Lamar Jackson is doing. We're talking about 25 attempts in 1970, and here we are in 2025, and the alleged star best quarterback in the NFL is doing exactly what Terry Bradshaw and those guys were doing in 1970. The passing attempts, 25 attempts. You couple that with today in 2010, 2010s and up, these guys, the average for the quarterback is about 30, 33 to 35. That's the NFL average in attempts. So this dude is below the average in attempts. Why is this significant? Because you look at the team in the Baltimore Ravens. This guy rushed for 1,900 yards 1,900 yards in Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry ran for 1,900 yards, people. And it was the first time in Lamar Jackson's career that he threw for 4,000. Why is that significant? Why is that significant when you got a quarterback that's supposed to be the best quarterback? And why is he the best quarterback in the NFL? If that's the first time he's thrown for 4,000, and just so happened the running back rushed for nearly 2,000 yards. You look at what Derrick Henry's done over his career: 1,900, 1,100, 1,500, 2,000, 1,500, 1,000. So he has over 11,000, over 10,000 rushing yards in his NFL career. So this guy's no scrub. He's the real deal. And ironically, he goes to the Ravens, and this is the first time that Lamar Jackson has ran for 4,000. Why is this significant? Because you got a quarterback that doesn't have to worry about the spacing. He doesn't have to worry about the safety sitting down on wide receivers or sitting down on these tight ends and doubling these tight ends. He doesn't have to worry about that because the spacing is completely different when you have the defense. They have to guard Derrick Henry, because if you don't guard Derrick Henry, you don't put 8 or 9 in the box, he's going to run all over you. And we saw that time and time again. So what happens is the team has to take away Derrick Henry. They have to take away Derrick Henry. So guess what? These passing lanes for Lamar Jackson is much different. The passing lane for Lamar Jackson is completely different. Why? Because he doesn't have to worry about that safety. He can take shots downfield. He can make big plays, extending the play, throwing the ball downfield. If you look at last year, that was the entire design of their offense. If the safeties were playing back to take away the deep pass, all they would do is run with Lamar and run with Derrick Henry until they were forced to bring that safety up. And then they would take the shots downfield. We saw that time and time again. James Cook last year. Going back to Josh Allen. He only rushed for 1,009 yards. He only rushed for 1,009 yards. This is the funny part about it. This is when you look at everybody else's numbers in the league, and it makes sense. He only rushed for 1,000 yards. 16 touchdowns. They didn't have a lot of weapons. Josh Allen threw for 3,700 yards. 28 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. They didn't really have like, you can look at the Baltimore Ravens, like, they did not have a lot of weapons as far as the passing game is concerned. So they had to rely on Josh Allen. They had to rely on Josh Allen to kind of lead the way. Offense, use his leg, hand the ball off to James Cook, have James Cook score. Like, they had to do this. So when you look at that that Buffalo Bills offense, it was ran through James Cook, running the ball, Josh Allen, keeping that clock churning. It's score a lot of touchdowns. So these are the reasons why you look at, you got compared to what Baltimore did, you can see how and why Josh Allen was the MVP. And Jalen Hurts, for example, this guy only had 18 touchdowns. He only threw for 18 touchdowns. And we're parading around giving him $50 million for what? Why are we praising Jalen Hurts? Why is Jalen Hurts getting praised? That's the funny part about all of this, all these things right here. This is the funny part all about it. This guy has 600 yards and how many touchdowns? 14 touchdowns. Rushing touchdowns. So the quarterback position, most of these guys, talking about what's going on, how you doing, but Jalen Hurts ran for 14 touchdowns. A lot of them was 1 yard tush push plays. So yeah, combined what, 38, 32, 28, yeah. So we're praising guys for having mediocre numbers as a quarterback. And then when you really look at a lot of the things they're going around, Jalen Hurts, another one, a quarterback, they do a good job of running their offense, probably so. Not going to dispute that. But this is why Tom Malott, he said Hurts is slick, reminds me of Tyrod Taylor. That's exactly what he is. He's a bad version of Joe Frazier. Tommy Frazier, I said Joe Frazier, but Tommy Frazier, if y'all don't know Tommy Frazier, y'all look, Jalen Hurts is running a college scheme in the NFL. We praising these guys for running a college scheme in the NFL. These guys have not learned the quarterback to be. This is why a lot of these quarterbacks they get into the playoffs and their teams lose time and time again. The Atlanta Falcons beat the Philadelphia Eagles at their own game. Oh, they won't tell you that part. They want people. They want to be consistent with the disrespect of the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons beats the Philadelphia Eagles at their own game. They never mention how the Falcons end up whooping that ass at their own game. Not only did we make plays in that game against them offensively, but we made plays defensively. We beat them. I wonder where we were when we beat them. Oh, right. We beat them at their spot. We beat them at their own game. This is what happens when your quarterback ain't really the guy that they say they is and they paying them for. This is why you got to have 15 running backs on the roster because of guys like Jalen Hurts. This is why you got to constantly have a revolving door on the defensive side because you know your quarterback is not built like that. So you always got to bring in the best talent on that defensive front, which the Philadelphia Eagles does a wonderful job of that. They do a wonderful job of bringing in that talent like that. But when you look at this, the quarterback position, and you wonder why these guys are even talked about. The disrespect and disregard over Patrick Mahomes is sick. This guy had 7 years straight with over 3,900 yards passing. So you got, again, first year as a starter, 5,000, 4,000, 47, 48, 52, 41, and he sat out a game last year where he could have got another 4,000. But they was in the playoffs, so they decided to sit Patrick Mahomes. And you tell me that this guy is the best quarterback in the NFL, Lamar Jackson, for what? Because they put him in a system where he doesn't have to throw the ball as much. I wonder what that is. You hand the ball off to the running back 30, 40 times a game. You utilize your offensive line, which is not a bad, and I'm not saying that the Ravens are a bad franchise in any way, shape, or form. But I'm telling you, what they have done and created is a safe haven for Lamar Jackson. They said, we're going to put up big numbers and score a lot of touchdowns, running the ball, which most of this come from. Most of Lamar Jackson touchdown comes from running around. He escapes out of the pocket a lot of times. He uses a lot of bootlegs and he just stands in the pocket and he uses his athleticism to extend plays. And that's how a lot of these, this is how a lot of these plays run because guys can't come after him. The defensive coordinator rather sit back, defended the pass, the deep ball. And as we've seen this with a guy like Steve Spagnuolo. Steve Spagnuolo is one of the guys that exposed that game plan, that helped expose that game plan of Lamar Jackson. So they pay a bunch of DBs. They force Lamar Jackson to run around and run around and run around. And they dare him to beat him with the pass. Another one of those guys that helped divine his plan with Lamar Jackson is Mike Vrabel. Go look at the games with Lamar Jackson and Mike Vrabel when he was with the Tennessee Titans. Now he's the head coach of the New England Patriots. No one of those guys that helped divide. All they do was sit back, push a bunch of DBs, and say, Lamar, you're going to beat us with your arm. We're not going to allow y'all to run the ball. We're going to stop the run, and we're going to force you to be a quarterback. Puts up a lot of numbers, big numbers. Throws a lot of yards. But again, we talking about Patrick Mahomes. Now, the disrespect and disregard for this guy and what he's done, quarterbacks are now getting praise for running around in circles. Not actually throwing the ball. Quarterbacks are being praised for running in circles. not getting the ball to their receivers. This is the crazy part that we living in right now, where you got quarterbacks that are running. What's going on, Dig? What's going on? But quarterbacks are now getting praised for running around in circles, throwing a bunch of checkdowns, running a college system in the NFL. All of this is safe football. Nothing about that Baltimore Ravens offense is aggressive football. All of it is soft and safe. How do I know this? Because this is the exact same system that Todd Monkey ran when he was with the Georgia Bulldogs. I know this offense. Anybody that know this offense that is a Georgia Bulldogs fan, if you're a college football game fan, you know it's the same offense that they ran that soft, safe plays right here in Baltimore that we ran at Georgia. This is the same offense. It's safe and it's soft. It's predicated on your quarterback's ability to scramble around, make plays with his legs, and then you can throw the ball deep. But it's heavily reliant on the running game. Getting the quarterback into a rhythm, and then once he's in the rhythm, take a few shots downfield. But this is the stuff we talking about. Like these guys are getting praised for mediocre quarterback play. Here we go, got Patrick Mahomes again. Patrick Mahomes has been relegated to what? A second or third best quarterback? For what? Why is all of a sudden Lamar Jackson is a better quarterback than, because he threw for 4,000 yards at one time? The disregard and disrespect for consistency in the NFL is sick. It's Sunday 20th, my birthday. Hey, happy birthday, brother. If we don't get a chance to, say to you Sunday. But these are the things that I'm talking about in regards to Patrick Mahomes. All of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes, his career means nothing. So I'm looking at the Philadelphia numbers, and I'm looking at the receivers and how much the receivers have. Devontae Smith had 20. We're talking about his receptions, 68 receptions. A.J. Brown, 67. And the next guy was closer than was 42, and that was the tight end. Now, I'm going to give you guys, this is why I think this is freaking hilarious. Because I'm going to give you guys some Atlanta Falcons numbers. Because this is why this is disgusting and outright a farce. So we're going to go to the Atlanta Falcons receptions leaderboard, okay? Let's go to the leaderboard for the Atlanta Falcons. This is why I've said the things that I say. The Atlanta Falcons You had Drake London with 100 receptions last year. 100. Darnell Mooney had 64. Ray McLeod, 64. 62, excuse me. And you got Bijan Robinson with 61. And you got Kyle Pitts who had 47. So you got 5 guys that had 45 plus receptions. The Super Bowl champions had 3 guys that had more than 40 passes, 40 catches in the season. 3. And we're rewarding these quarterbacks for this. We're rewarding guys for not even throwing the ball. We saying these guys are great quarterbacks and they deserve $50 million for throwing the ball to one guy less than 43, 3 guys less than 40 times a year. This is a Super Bowl. That's the funny part about all of this stuff. The Atlanta Falcons were one of those teams. We talking about football. The Atlanta Falcons it's about to rain over here, Southside. So yes, we are getting that. We definitely getting the rain over here too on the south side. But 97 Travis Kelce, 59 for Xavier Worthy, Hopkins with 40, you got Noah Gray with 40. And they had a handful of guys that had 20 plus receptions on. They got 4 guys that had 20 plus receptions. So they spread that ball around in Kansas City. But we're praising Lamar Jackson for doing the absolute least. That's the funny part about this. Guy like Patrick Mahomes is getting the ball into his playmakers' hands. But that god-awful offensive line, they couldn't protect him. They couldn't protect him to save their own lives, and we saw that catch up with them. The crazy part about it, Andy Reid is such a great coach. The only game where it really caught up with them was in the Super Bowl. They had one game out of the entire season where it caught up with them, and that was it was the Super Bowl. They could not protect him from the very opening of that game. You know another thing? While I'm looking at these numbers, kind of sad. Like I wouldn't even if I played for the Baltimore Ravens, I wouldn't even want to play with them guys. I would quit on these guys too. You got one core. You had one. Zay Flowers 74, and the next guy next to him was Rashad Bateman. He had 45. This is the crazy part about it. This is the crazy part. The next wide receiver out besides Bateman, none of these guys caught 20 passes. None of the wide receivers on the Baltimore Ravens offense even caught 20 passes outside of Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers. And we're talking about Lamar Jackson is better than Patrick Mahomes. In fact, besides Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers, none of their wide receivers even caught 15 passes in the entire season. None of their quarterbacks even caught 15 passes. And we're talking about Lamar Jackson is supposed to be better than Patrick Mahomes. What's the point of even being on the roster if you're essentially going to be a blocker? The Atlanta Falcons top 3 wide receiver, all of them caught over 40 passes. London, Mooney, Ray McLeod, all those guys caught over 40 passes. All of them. That's the crazy part about all of this right here. The job of a quarterback is to make sure he get the ball to the receivers. That's what I thought. You're supposed to get the ball into the receiver's hands, but the receivers ain't touching the ball. It's the Bateman, Zay Flowers, and then even when you get into the playoffs, the guys are not even getting into. These guys aren't even getting the ball because Lamar can't give it to him. But we're constantly disrespecting a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Even in a down year, this guy throws for 4,000. Because I'm just going to give him that. Why? It's because he took a game off. He sat a year and still threw for 39. He sat a game and still threw for 3,900 yards. How do you sit a game, throw for 39, had a handful of, I'm not talking about a handful, and I'm being generous when I say a handful. These guys could not stay healthy. They had injuries to the offensive line, the receiving core, the running backs, everything, and they still made it to the Super Bowl. And we're up here questioning whether or not Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. We're talking about Lamar Jackson and Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens are going to finally get to a Super Bowl because they have more weapons. You had Pacheco at 300 yards, Patrick Mahomes, and if you want to add up everything that Patrick Mahomes, he had well over 4,200 yards. 4,200 yards of offense via Patrick Mahomes because he ran for 300 plus yards. So not only did he pass for 3,900, he ran for 300. So he gave you 4,200 yards of offense. And you got Pacheco, they only played 7 games last year because of injuries. And the next guy running back that was close to him was literally who was running the ball was Carson Steele. And he didn't rush for even 200 yards. And we're wondering if Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. Well, where do we get off at disrespecting Patrick Mahomes? Why? Because they got embarrassed in the Super Bowl? They got embarrassed by a very good offensive team with the Philadelphia Eagles? Yeah, Mike, you should gamble, the stats that will help. Well, I don't like losing. So gambling ain't never been my damn. I'm not a gambler because I don't like losing. I'm a terrible gambler. But if I did gamble, I probably would win. But the fact that I don't like losing is why I don't gamble. I don't like doing that. I don't like doing that bullshit. I do not like the potential of losing money. Because if I lose it and I have to give it to you and I don't want to give it to you, we're going to be scrapping. So I do not like losing. I don't gamble because I don't like losing. D-Rail says Pat Mahomes is greatness even with that stupid haircut. Hey man, leave that man haircut alone. I mean, at least his damn hairline ain't back to the middle of the damn back of the middle of the head like George Jefferson. Leave that man hair alone. Leave that man hair alone. All right, mixed kids, they hair is all fluffy and curly. Leave that man alone. Okay, leave that man hair alone, D-Real. But this is one of the reasons why I just talk about the quarterback position. And you look at these guys, and I'm thinking to myself like, okay, so what gives you guys the right to dismiss Patrick Mahomes? On what grounds are we disrespecting Patrick Mahomes? Because they didn't win? Because they lost a receiver? And from the best of my knowledge, I think this guy's going to jail. I don't know the exact reasoning behind it outside of that issue that he had crashing. So you not only you lose your star receivers and whatnot, and then rash of injuries to one of your better players and your running back in Pacheco. You're saying Lamar Jackson is better than him because he essentially had Derrick Henry. Are we even talking about that? Is that team the exact same team without Derrick Henry? That's a question I have for y'all. Is that the same guy? Is that the same team if he's not on it? How far do these guys go? Because you change the personnel, you get a better running back, and you still can't get to the Super Bowl. So how am I supposed to put anybody over Patrick Mahomes when Patrick Mahomes year after year, this third year in a row, this dude in the Super Bowl? Since when does a fucking quarterback get punished for making it to the fucking Super Bowl? Where the fuck do you get off saying, no, you made it to the Super Bowl for the third year in a row, fuck you, Lamar better than you? How did that make any goddamn sense? How do you look yourself in the fucking mirror and say Lamar clown ass Jackson, who hasn't even make it out of the fucking AFC Championship game, without turning the ball over? How the hell do you get off saying that he's better than Patrick Mahomes when he has a better overall supporting cast and he still can't get it to the Super Bowl? I don't hear this bullshit about, the team, it need to come together. Oh, man, fuck out of here. You motherfuckers got a mitigated gall to sit up here and say that this punk piece of absolute shit and Lamar Jackson, because that's what the fuck he is. He want to lose weight. This motherfucker he gonna look like a goddamn supermodel. Losing all this goddamn weight so he can run around like a fucking clown. He loses again in the goddamn playoff, and then we get to the off season, and I hear one of his stupid ass players talking about, man, Lamar Jackson, he loses weight, he looks great, he run real fast. This motherfucker lose weight every offseason, every time he fucking gets his ass kicked in the playoffs. Thinking running fast in fucking circles is gonna make him a better quarterback. Meanwhile, Patrick Mahomes is consistently throwing for 3,900 yards plus every damn year. And we're saying this motherfucker is a bum. He is the second, third, fourth best quarterback in the NFL because he's making it to Super Bowls year after year after year after year. After year after year. He's in the AFC Championship. So we are so fucking tired of this guy being in the AFC Championship. We are downgrading him for consistency. You're downgrading Patrick Mahomes for being fucking consistent, for being one of the best quarterbacks the fucking game has had. This is what the fucking media has brainwashed you clown motherfuckers. You clown motherfuckers are saying, look, I'm tired of Patrick Mahomes. I want to see somebody else. He sucks. He's not the best quarterback anymore because all he does is win, win, win. We praising motherfuckers for not getting to the Super Bowl. We praising quarterbacks for grabbing on the nuts of his running back and saying, hey, lead me, lead me, lead me. This guy is the model of consistency, of greatness. He had the task that not many quarterbacks can ever say that they've had. The ability, the chances to win back-to-back Super Bowls. And we're putting him on the back burner because we're tired of fucking seeing him. We seeing quarterbacks getting praised for losing. We're seeing quarterbacks being praised because they're great fantasy. They make people money in fantasy football. That's the real reason why y'all motherfuckers love Lamar Jackson. Because you know that fucking clown is going to pass the ball for 150 yards and run for 100 yards and get you 4 touchdowns. Let's be real about this. This is the real reason why y'all love this motherfucker. Patrick Mahomes is only going to get you what? 250 plus passing yards, a couple touchdowns. This is the real reason why y'all not care about Patrick Mahomes, because he's no longer making people fantasy. He's no longer making money, making people who play fantasy football. He's no longer the it guy. So anytime that anyone makes y'all a couple $1,000, a couple $100, no, even that disrespectful. Sheila E., get the fuck out of here. He had a prime Rodgers year. Are you fucking serious? A motherfucker that couldn't throw for more than look, his back. You had 2 wide receivers that caught the ball for over 40 yards. The rest of the receivers didn't even catch the ball 15 fucking times in the entire year. You have the mitigated gall to disrespect the great Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers ain't never, ever struggled getting the ball to his 3rd, 4th, and 5th receiver. These motherfuckers might as well have pom poms in they goddamn hand while they on the damn field, because they ain't gonna touch that motherfucker. And y'all wondering why guys like what the wide receiver that I just did a story on him, but this guy he used to play Carolina, but he made a story and he got the hell on. He said, "Nah, I'm good. I'd rather be cut than play with Lamar because I'm just gonna be standing on the field on a cold ass fucking field, blocking. It's fucking 15 degrees outside. Deontay Johnson. I was thinking Deontay. I don't know why I was thinking DeAndre Anthony. I have no fucking. But this guy, but this guy said, I'm not standing on motherfucking field and blocking for this motherfucker. It's 15 fucking degrees outside. Outside of Bateman and Zay Flowers, none of the wide receivers caught the ball 15 times. None. Just think about that for a second. He said, I would rather be cut than stand on the field and just block. So picture what every other wide receiver outside of Zay Flowers and Bateman are saying. They just running around. Running routes. You just running damn routes down the field knowing damn well you catch the ball maybe one time a game, you know you might catch the ball. One. Isaiah Likely did not elevate his game. He did exactly what he always do every year. Mark Andrews was still the best tight end on that team. Likely was just open a hell of a lot more than what he typically is. Why? It's because they rushed the ball. They rushed for well over what he had for 1,900 yards. This is what I mean by if you have a solid run game, you have a solid offensive line, your tight ends are going to get the ball more because you have a solid run game. You have a solid quarterback, a offensive run game in the pass game, excuse me. Like, if you think Likely elevated his game, he didn't. This is what spacing does for teams. When your running back rushes for 1,900 yards, you don't have time to throw the ball to a second tight end. Okay? Let me say this. You don't have time to throw the ball to the second, number one, and number two tight ends. If your offensive line struggles. Likely did exactly what he does every single year. Have we seen Likely as the number one tight end? No, we have not. So until that actually happens, I'm not going to say he elevated his play. I mean, tell me what makes you say that Likely elevated his play? What makes you think that he elevated his play? That's what I want to know. Because he had 42 catches, 6 touchdowns. Why would you say that he elevated his play? 42 catches, 6 touchdowns. Yeah, I'm kind of confused by you saying elevated his play. because he had 30 catches and 5 touchdowns. So what makes you say that his week 1 performance against the Chiefs? Yeah. So because he had one more receiving touchdown, and he had what 10 plus more receptions over a year. You say that is a elevated his play? Hip hip who fucking Ray. He caught one more touchdown. This is why. Look. This is why you say your eyes is bigger than your stomach because of shit like this. This is what gives life to those phrases because of shit like this. Oh, because he had one good performance against the Chiefs, we say he elevated his play. But you look at it, he had what? Last year he had how many receptions? So the previous year he caught 30 passes, and then this year Isaiah Likely caught 42 passes. So he had 12 more catches this past season and one more touchdown, and we're saying that he elevated his play. This only adds to what we've been saying all along, is that the media drives these narratives, and there is very little, and I'm talking about very little, when it comes down to say, all right, it's all about consistency. When we look at everything in its entirety, we like to put it all on one particular person. But this is what I mean. If you don't have Derrick Henry on that team, are we really talking about Likely? Are we really talking about any of these guys? Let's be honest about that. We're not thinking about these guys. So with that being said, man, we got to start with the disrespect against Patrick Mahomes. It's sick. These quarterbacks are getting $50 million to be 1970 quarterbacks. Okay? These guys are getting paid $50 million to do what Terry Bradshaw did. Think about this. We're giving these guys $50 million to hand the ball off and throw for less than 3,000 yards. We're giving these guys $50 million for this. But a quarterback that gets you the Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl, and then like what, 6 or 7 damn straight AFC championships? We're trying to punish these guys like Patrick Mahomes for being consistent. We live in a sick world, y'all. How can you say as a football fan that anybody in this league is better than Patrick Mahomes? Because of 1 year, 1 game, and a highlight reel. Kyler Murray hasn't done any damn thing to be in any conversation. For one, he got to be consistent. He's not, look, I don't throw anybody in there who's not consistent at anything. He can always get better, but he's not he's not a great quarterback. Good quarterback, but not great. Lamar is a great quarterback. Josh Allen is a great quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is an elite quarterback. Jalen Hurts, I don't even think he's a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback. So many other guys. But we got a handful of great quarterbacks posing as elite quarterbacks. There's only one elite quarterback in the NFL. There's only one. Josh Allen is knocking on the door of elite because I've seen him without weapons. This is why he won MVP. But he's knocking on the door of elite. Lamar Jackson is just a great quarterback with a great team and a great system. Nothing elite about this guy. He loses the same way every year. That's not elite. It looks good. Terry, what's going on? It looks good. But this is why the Atlanta Falcons had to find out the hard way about Kirk Cousins. It looked good. He can throw for 500 yards in the game. It looks good that he can throw for 250 yards plus for 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a row. And then 7, 8 games later, you can barely get us to the playoffs. You struggle. Like, this has been Kirk Cousins for his entire career. He was a good quarterback with a good talent around him that was getting paid elite money for good results. We had to learn this the hard way. Stop trying to crown everybody an elite quarterback. The Atlanta Falcons had to learn the hard way that Kirk Cousins was an elite quarterback. That Matt Ryan is an absolute anomaly. You will probably never see again in this franchise. We had to learn the hard way that Mike Vick wasn't who we thought he was as a complete quarterback. Now, he eventually did get his stuff together in Philadelphia, and you saw the potential that he could be, but it was only, 2 years? That was only 2 years. By then, the physical injuries with his knees, his ankles, and all that, it caught up with him. So he wasn't able to sustain that for the long haul. So we just gotta stop being disrespectful and throwing everybody in that elite category, because ain't nobody doing Tom Brady shit right now but Patrick Mahomes. Ain't nobody doing Matt Ryan shit outside of Patrick Mahomes in this game. Ain't nobody doing Drew Brees shit in this game besides Patrick Mahomes. This motherfucker has done Cam Newton 2 years in a row, and we labeling him an elite quarterback. But we was afraid to say that Cam Newton was an elite quarterback. Make that motherfucking make sense. Cam Newton was doing this bullshit before he was, and we wouldn't call him elite. But as soon as Lamar started doing it, he's an elite quarterback. Cam Newton was throwing the ball down the damn field and getting into his wide receivers. His number 3, 4, 5 and wide receiver ain't even catching 15 passes in a freaking season. Our third receiver for us and Ray McLeod, 60 freaking catches in a fucking season. Yet we're calling Lamar Jackson an elite quarterback. Elite at what? I've always said, if you want a quarterback that's going to get you to the playoffs, Lamar Jackson is your guy. He's not going to make a ton of mistakes. He's not going to do anything outside of what the offense says and does. He's that guy. That's what Lamar is. If you want a guy that just gets you to the playoffs and look great at doing it, Lamar's your guy. But if you want to win and you want to be a winner, Lamar Jackson is not your guy. This is thing that we know as content creators, where we see YouTube channels with 15, 20,000 subscribers on there, but they barely getting 50 views on their live shows and uploads. Let me say it again. As content creators, we know there's a lot of channels out there that have like 15, 20,000 subscribers, but they barely getting 50 to 200 views on their stuff. Why? That's the aesthetics. They want to appear as if they're getting and they have people supporting them. But we know that's all bought. This is exactly what we're talking about with Lamar Jackson. He got a bunch of fucking numbers that don't mean nothing. He got a bunch of rushing yards that don't mean a damn thing. Lamar got a bunch of damn numbers at running the ball and throwing touchdowns, checking the ball to the tight end, checking the ball to the running backs. All that shit means nothing, because when it's time to make a big play in the big moments, he can't do it. All of this is aesthetics. All this cosmetic. Let's stop crowning these guys for doing the absolute mediocre average. Let's stop throwing the elite word on everybody, because there's only one elite quarterback. Just because you get a team to a Super Bowl, you get a team to win 10 plus games, doesn't make you an elite quarterback. I mean, that team did everything it needed to do to get to that point. And it's disrespectful for that Ravens organization to say that team was only good because of Lamar Jackson. Very disrespectful. That team had Trent Dilfer as a fucking quarterback and Banks, Tony Banks, as a backup quarterback, and they ended up getting to a Super Bowl when they winning the Super Bowl with an average quarterback. They had a dominant defense, dominant offensive line and running game, and they just asked him, don't screw it up. And they've won like this several times in Baltimore. But with a guy that's supposed to be elite quarterback, all of a sudden the Baltimore Ravens defense and the offense and everybody else, they not good enough. But they was able to do it with a guy like Flacco. They was able to win with a guy like Trent Dilfer. But somehow it's the Baltimore Ravens' fault, and everybody else on the defense and everybody else on the offense, it's their fault that this motherfucker can't win. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. It's everybody else's fault on the Baltimore Ravens except for him. Meanwhile, Patrick Mahomes getting to Super Bowls every year, and we downgrading him. We want to X him out the list because he's so consistent at being number one. We sick of watching this man win and the Chiefs win year after year, that we try to belittle him and talk about his hair and talk about his wife, talk about his brother, talk about his dad. You try to talk about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Like, y'all are so upset at this guy for being a consistent champion that you're willing to go at them personally when all they do is succeed and win. We live in a time where guys are consistently winning, and you are tired and sick and tired of them winning all the time. So you put them at 5, you put them at 4, you put them at below all the people that you like. In no way, shape, or form, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson should be anything over Patrick Mahomes. No reason to be that. So, like I said, man, y'all stay tuned for us tonight. We got something for you. Happy birthday to my OG, my brother Juan. Like I said, y'all stop at us tonight. We're gonna have a show right here. Mr. Tactician channel. So head over to Mr. Tactician 78. Do a show tonight. Hopefully K-Style don't fall asleep again. Okay. But that's all I got to say. I had to talk about this and Patrick Mahomes and his quarterback thing what he and Lamar Jackson, and that's the bottom line because Mad Mike said so. I'm out here, y'all.